Wassail, beautiful people. Weird lighting. It'll be better when it gets dark. Whether that'll be during this reading, I don't know. But you can still see the cards when I put them close by. So, part 3. I don't know where it's going. And I really, really like that. I've been for a long walk. I feel very emotional today. On my walk, it was a lot about dead ends and being sort of lost and not knowing where you were. And a really weird sense where I thought, I'm gonna stumble on a dead body in a minute. I didn't. But anyway, I've got to keep an eye on this. I've got to go quicker because we only get 40 minutes. Well, we don't, but I have to keep an eye on that where it cuts out. So I've got the cards and I'm just shifting through them, moving them around. I'll do that again. Tops and bottoms, and then on the third time, I'm going to stop. I'm going to cut them as well. Don't know where this will go. Doing tops, doing bottoms, doing random cards. So, who do we have? Ooh, emotional empath. This is where it all begins. So, this is kind of like the first peak that we all have. That sense of just understanding something. It's a kind of sense of claircognizance. You just know and you can't explain it. And I want to say there's something about this energy that would be sort of, it knocks you off course. Because if it's something that you had as a child and stopped and then it returns, it's quite disconcerting. So I put the book over there. So emotional empath. I took a stone out with me today because I was going to go and visit the river. And I was going to give the stone to the river because in the middle of the river, which is very wide, I was never going to be able to throw it far enough, is my sun line in my astrocartography. I'm exploring astrocartography at the moment, so I'm going to ring the bell, which is over there, because it's still distorting, so I can't plug my microphone in to this iPad. So I'm doing them gently. Did you see the orbs yesterday over my shoulder? There were 3. Anyway, so there's this sense of a gentle nudge, which really is what an emotional empath has. It's a gentle nudge. But there is something within, they were 3 very similar bells, but each ring of the bell had a different tuning, a different unfolding. The pitch is obviously the same. So that's the emotional empathy. It's the same energy, but it somehow confuses you. I think I need to push this back a little bit. It feels a bit, a bit too much up the whole face. So let's just see where it goes. Let's not time waste. Let's get on with the rune to set the tune. I bought a candle to scent the room. It's by a company called Pakikoko, and it's called Diamond, and it isn't the one I chose. I spent ages with them, They showed me lots of different smells, and I said, I like black spinner. And I came home with diamond. And I'm not going back to say, you're giving me the wrong candle. I'm just going to assume that I will enjoy this candle. It's got a very bouncy flame, but it is a soy wax, and that's less carcinogenic. So, come on, please, emotional empathy. What have we got? What have we got? What have we got? What have we got? Oh. The beginning. So this is wealth, feo, livestock. Just from the beginning of it, it's like they're showing me this as a feather from yesterday's, the U-boat. No. So it's like the first feathers being given to you, the first awareness. It's also, because it's the first card in the Elder Thuth arc, there's something about this which usually represents what you can pen in, what you can have as wealth. But actually somehow this is talking about how do you break free and wake up to your empathy, to your awakened ability to read energies. So here we have Feo. And the poem with Feo, oh, I can't say this one easily. Wealth, livestock, captured form festers, held static, possessed, hemmed in, penned in, rammed and wrecked. Atoms wrestle, molecules jostle, whims of wealth wilt and melt and die back. This cluster clings, that cluster crawls, and another claims greater importance than all. What does wealth conquer? So what does wealth conquer in the normal sense of this card is break free of material possessions, because the next card would be freedom. But here, what does wealth conquer? What can you conquer of you with the wealth of gifts that start with this emotional empathy? So, let's just dash on with Odin and the 9 Realms. Oh, I need a sip of tea. I need a little moustache cloth. So, Odin and the 9 Realms, Odin and the 9 Realms, Odin and the 9 Realms. It's making me think of Rob. Rob Odinson is doing meditations and music, and they're beautiful. And I'm really, really excited for him. Also, because I'm going to steal 78 tunes from him later. Shh, don't tell him. So, Geffen. This is really interesting. I'm seeing the crowd behind Geffen as ancestors. And each of these ancestors is playing a part in bringing you towards your gift, bringing you towards breaking free from being hemmed in and penned in. This is like a collective ancestry, and somehow within that ancestry, I'm seeing empaths, magicians, witches, wizards, whatever labels you might like to put, you might not like to, on these powers that we can tune into, this ability to read energy fields. There's something about the Jungian collective unconscious that is a sort of way of thinking about this. There are fields of memory, and they're all around. And somehow we ride into them and they unfold. So what else would you like to share about emotional empath? I feel like I've got the wrong deck. I'll give it one more shuffle. But I feel like I need to pick up the Mystical Shaman. Yeah, see, look, nothing. That's me being an empath. So let's go with the Mystical Shaman. The thing is, it's because I'm seeing the child card. It doesn't mean it's going to come out, but part of the message that I'm intuiting as I sit here with this is that we begin with these gifts. We begin with the ability to tune in, and then society tells us that that's wrong, and science tells us there's no God. And so we learn to conform, and we shut down our empathic ability. Not everyone does, but often people do. I'm just going to give them one more. There's one on the table which is staff. And it's interesting that it flashed at me and it's sitting face down. And it's kind of saying that your powers are hidden. You don't see your powers for what they are. It's giving us 151. So it's giving us that energy of reflection, but it's also, it's a staff. It's the East, the first stroke of the runes. And that's about clinging on to life, bringing your consciousness and locking it into the human body. So part of it is to do with, we begin pure. We begin at the beginning. And we begin in our own power, but we don't understand that power. We can't see that power, but the power somehow moves through us and allows us to witness, experience, feel, understand certain energies. So I'm wanting to point out a kind of, we all get a little bit sort of lost in many of the old spiritual doctrines that have been around since kind of like, the whole of the 20th century, but it's developed over the course of the 20th century as it's monetized itself. And that's interesting because this is wealth. This is about things that are monetized. What do you possess that holds monetary value? And yet there's something about this card that is your truth is your greatest value. The material possessions are not your greatest value. They're just a way to cushion things in life. So when you are conceived and you are one cell, you have the sperm and the egg together, and so now it's going to begin the process of trying to be born. And your consciousness, one single little tiny thread of your consciousness connects to this energy. And it's pure love. It doesn't come down, you don't come down with any sense of past lives, with karma. In Norse mythology, there is no karma. And I'm beginning to understand, to feel, to think, to imagine that we really come down here as spiritual warriors. And when we bump into past life experiences, it's them. It's your ancestors in your DNA standing behind you. And these are also, remember, these are these echoes that we're running into from yesterday's reading in the astral. They're the dream weavers that stand behind us. They're the ones waiting to have that echo of themselves freed from the astral. You see, it's interesting that we visit the astral in order to be alive, and yet we're really there to deconstruct the astral. so that it's void of trauma, of necessity, which is interesting. I'm just going to keep saying that's interesting all the way through these. So you come down. What happens with your pure love is your love frequency, that first stroke of conscious life that has to link into the cell. As the cell divides to make skin, bones, eyes, hair, all the different parts of our body, your frequency of love has to distort itself to cling on to the ancestral blood echoes that exist within our DNA. And they're what we're working on. They're why we are a spiritual warrior. Those are the moments when we clean up things and manage to change things. It's gorgeous energy. And the energy that's coming off is a sense of privilege. How privileged we are to experience life in this world so that we can free our ancestors. Look, they're not stuck there. They've gone on to other lives, but there's an echo of them that's still distorting their latest reality because it's a piece that's left behind. It's that soul retrieval. So what else would you like to say, please, about emotional empath? Where we start out. It's funny how this is linking in. You know, it's a series. So, that was really interesting. There was something very determined about those cards dropping. 22, Ghost Dance, Ancestors, the medicine of the ancestors, the fog of the ancestors, the misrepresentation of the ancestors. So there's something foggy about our power. So when we first have our beginning awakening, there's something very uncomfortable about this because you begin to question your sanity. But there's something foggy, Neptune-like delusions of trying to find your power. Have another sip of tea. Wipe my moustache. So there's a dance with the ancestors that takes place at day and at night. You can run into the images at day. So how do we want to explain this? It's like there are good and bad stories echoing in your ancestors, in their echoes, and those are wired into your DNA, and they're like a kind of a magnet, and they draw similar energies towards your soul, towards your physicality as well. Sometimes, it can be, like an ancestor that had some kind of difficulty walking and it begins to come into your energy field, or an ancestor who struggled with some kind of, endless headaches, and that comes into your frequency. But it doesn't mean it belongs to you. It belongs to your DNA, and we can transform our DNA by working on things. So there's a kind of a dance of the past to heal the past and you in the now, which then clears the pathway for your future. And that's why really we attune to these empath abilities within us, but they're about helping you, helping ourselves understand our Geffen, our collective ancestors, inner truth that comes with us. Now, I usually when I see the medicine wheel, it needs a card all the way around it. So what's coming, so it's kind of like the energy coming in, the energy you're leaving behind, the ancestors, The card beneath will be the energy that the universe is trying to teach you. And then the card going forwards is where you're taking the energy that's coming in and where you're going to make it go. So we're going to look at, we need 2 more cards. The first one, if it comes as one, is what's the cosmos trying to teach you here? What's the cosmos trying to teach you here? I'd like it to be the beloved, because the message is that it's really trying to teach us love, I would imagine. But let's see. It might be really more complicated than my simple desire to make everything lovely. That was really interesting. That was a bit like Laura Ashley falling down the staircase. Eagle. I'm going to put the other one down of where it's going. Just so that I've got them all there to read. I noticed on the video playback, shuffling's really loud. Thunder. So the eagle is giving the message that spirit, cosmos, the energy of source, however it's representing and presenting itself to you, is trying to teach you to work on the fog, to work on this great dust cloud that you can't see through. There's so much dust, there's so much interference in all of these cards, in your power, in the ancestral echoes, and in where you need to strike to create something new. Now, as you move through your gifts, and I think that's about moving through the different energy stories that we're going to be getting with each of these, you're going to be learning new things, but the energy is coming in fast at the moment. So it's almost like being knocked off your feet. It's that strong. There's so much profound energy of change trying to get into your energy field that it's almost like it's interesting with this card, they say, don't stand in front of the bison because you'll get crushed. This is coming across as your ancestors' blood stories, echoes, running towards you, and I would say stand right in front of this energy and let the energy absolutely smash through you. It's almost like each ancestor can shatter a shield that you have, that you've developed to protect you as an empath. They're gonna open you and allow a massive amount of energy in the wrong way, because energy, when I do sound healing, flows from behind and through the body. This is the bison coming at you. They're coming towards you to break, like a shield, a shell that we're wearing, and it needs to be broken, and it's gonna be a little bit traumatic, but absolutely exciting. So, let's have the Alchemy of Astrology. Because everything matters astrologically. You know, you cannot believe in astrology, and yet the planets will move round and they will poke you and they will bring things to you according to your natal chart. Mary the Jewess, people, we like to have a little bit of a round of applause for Mary the Jewess. I'm just curious as to whether there was a way of putting filters on. I'll do it later. I want to have dance music filter here so it gets all kind of like flashy lights for Mary the Jewess. Did I remember to do it? So this is true alchemy. True alchemy begins, oh, I'm knocking all the cards. True alchemy begins when you can recognize that you are an emotional empath. It's your gateway in. You can shoehorn in with this energy, but what's coming is gonna be fast. It's gonna be más rápido. I'm sure that's not real. I want to say Spanish, but actually here they say Castellano, which is Castilian, but said completely differently. So this is a transformative alchemical energy coming in at a divine time. All of your body molecules are almost going to be rocket shaken. They're going to be, whoo, and that's going to be rising up to create a new star healing within your heart. Triple goddess frequency. Something's coming within the space of this full moon in Sagittarius, new moon in Cancer, and then the full moon that will come after that, which should be in Capricorn, but I'm going to have to check that because sometimes you get double moons in double signs. And I'm not prepared because I'm not thinking astrology at the moment. So this is turning your world upside down, 1691. I want to say 1691, something to do with Sir Christopher Wren. Or Sir Isaac Newton. I don't know. I'm not going to worry. I can just hear... I can hear the Age of Enlightenment, the Rage of Enlightenment, and then the New Age of Enlightenment. We're going to be enlightened. Universal seeds are being planted, grid anchors, song lines, sacred earth walks. You're going on a sacred earth walk. I want to say it's a year. This next year is going to be very profound. This is going to play into one of the other energies that's quite big for the collective, and that is the dragon line empath. But I'm not going to go into that now, but it's just telling me that that energy is coming to work with more and more of us. We're all going to start to feel the dragon lines. What else have we got as a message here? Keeping an eye on the time. I've got 13 minutes. Ooh, 13. I love that number. So we've got one over there. Pulverize, 88. I've been seeing 588 everywhere I walk today, which is not a normal number that I see. This is about breaking down to a micro-analyze and deconstruct to reconstruct. This is what the whole point of connecting to your emotional empath frequency is, so that you can build yourself anew. I would say go back and think about when your first emotional empathic feelings came on, and how did you feel? Was there a sense of discomfort? Did it make you feel quite shy? Were you worried? Did you feel an outsider in life? Think about where you came from and where you feel you are now, because something is coming to knock your socks off, knock you off your feet, to pulverize very fixed energies. I would say there's something of Uranus in Taurus beginning to kick off, because the placement of Uranus, Gaia, in Taurus is about seismic change, busting fixed philosophies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 cards. So it's moon in Scorpio going to the moon. So that's talking about the eclipse. What do I want to say? There's something about, there's some kind of ancestor who's literally going to come in and smash right through the middle of your third eye. To break it open, have a root around inside and make space for some kind of new intuition. A lot of self-reflection is needed as part of the medicine. Ancestral self-reflection as well, but you start with you and then they will make it aware. There's something about emotional constipation. Okay, that's a really big energy to shift. Oh, look, it's so eclipse. Moon in Scorpio, Moon in Taurus. This is all about us working in the next 6 months to get to the eclipse tunnel that's in 25th of October, 8th of November, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse. It's a divine moment. But this is 606 and this is 9. And rusted is 9. So we have rusted as a frequency. This is house 2. This is possessions. The things you hang on to, that you value, that you treasure, are rusting your empathic truth. I'm not saying get rid of them all and things like that. I'm just trying to get you to understand that material possessions, and we started with that sort of energy where is this material possessions or should it be the wealth of your gifts that are most important to you? And then we get 181. There's a whole series of self-reflected mirrors in this process here. So this is, look at the pattern of what you've become. So if you think about my journey that I've been on, that I'm sharing with you, when it began, I was big long beardy Merlin, and that was the pattern that I was falling into. And then grief face came along with the death of my parents, and then I lost all my connections to everything while I was on my Mars line in Mexico. And then I've landed here and I'm near my sun line and this destiny line, and everything's having a transformation. I look and I feel completely different. There are parts of that transformation that have been incredibly uncomfortable and incredibly difficult. You know, losing my teeth, going and having an operation to fit something that wouldn't work for me was a trauma, and yet somewhere within that is a truth for me. An ancestral truth was my father's dislike and his pride at never being seen without his teeth, and me sitting here doing a channel with you, lacking all my teeth and not giving a shit about it. And that will unfog my power. And that's what we're all here to do. We're all here to find our powers, to look at our pattern and to work out whether we have a kind of material grasping possessiveness that's hindering our empathic truth. What is the point of being an empath? It's self-reflection. It's so that you can look at things about yourself and change them. And when you change them, you change the ability to move into a better frame of future. And it brings you into an energy of joy because things stop bothering you. And so we have Aquavita. This is a very complicated card because it's about how dangerous the remedy can be. Because Aquavita is alcohol. When it was first utilized by the alchemists, they kind of felt that it would be beneficial, and yet you can become so reliant on it that it can become the spiritual cul-de-sac. It can lead you into a very dark space, a dark place that's very difficult to break free from. I'm being given the energy of quintessence, the fifth element. The fifth element being your ability to be an empath, so that you can identify parts of your journey, fix them, make a change, And then, I don't want to say let go of all of your spirituality, but allow yourself to live in love and joy and kindness. Enjoy living. We are spiritual beings when we're not here, but we connect and we remember that spiritual empathy that we have so that we can bring ourselves away from the fear and the difficulties of being alive in a world where our ancestors have experienced difficulties, and they're all inside our DNA, and we're trying to retune our DNA epigenetically. And the best way to explain that quickly is to think of a bonsai tree. They're not miniature trees. They're full-grown trees that humans grow, and they keep cutting them and saying to them, you are not allowed to grow bigger than this tiny pot. And you have to force that energy on it till it relents and you've enslaved the tree. You can do the same to your genetics. You can change your genetics by just rewriting your thought processes on your past, on your present, and where that's going into the future. So being empathic is the most beautiful first gentle waking up to a better future. The danger lies in going down that dangerous remedy. It is the remedy to all the traumas you've experienced in your life, but it can also be a darker place to head down with spiritual egotism. I love these. I love these series because they're really giving us quite waggy finger, strict reminders that within the beauty there is also an ugliness. And it depends on how you deal with it with your own emotional intelligence and how you work with the bloodlines of your ancestors to make sure you don't fall into the traps, but that you go into the traps, observe them, but you have to work out how to get out of them. So look, I've done that one in 37 minutes. Round of applause. So that's emotional empath, where the journey begins, and we can all move forwards by analysing, deconstructing, reconstructing our lives to make them better and to live in love and joy and kindness and happiness with laughter. That's where we're all heading. So, Wassail, beautiful people, there's many more to come.